Thanks for joining us. We're learning more tonight about the 16-year-old boy who died after being found alone and unresponsive at his high school in Trenton. Guy Kenville is there. He spent the day speaking with people who knew the teen and are devastated, demanding to know how this could have happened.
We're at Trenton High School, standing just outside of the classroom where my nephew was found deceased.
What's going through your mind right now?
Anger. A lot of anger.
Landon Ferris was a grade 10 student at Trenton High School, a vivacious teen with many years ahead of him, according to this family friend.
He was a life force. He was happy. If he was here right now, you guys would have to shoo him away because he'd be trying to hug you and show you his Woody doll.
2 weeks ago, on May 14th, Ferris was taken from his school to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. According to the family and their hired lawyer, Ferris had a rare type of genetic epilepsy that causes seizures. They say he was left alone in a room meant to calm students down, but unsupervised, and despite the school knowing about his condition.
His mother would sleep with him every night, either in his bed or on the floor of his bedroom, to ensure that he went to bed safely and woke up safely. Landon, as far as we're aware at this time, was left unattended to nap in a room in the school, and was found unresponsive and cold at the end of the day.
Nisker says he's preparing a lawsuit against the school board. In the meantime, Ferris's death is touching off a fresh wave of concern among advocates seeking more robust education funding in Ontario.
I finally got to the point where when I pulled my 5-year-old out of school because of the lack of resources and supports.
In Mississauga, people rallied this morning against what they're calling a chronic underfunding of schools. They say the situation is making it hard for already overstretched educators to properly care for children with complex needs.
Absolutely. I'm asking for more funding. At the end of December 2023, the government reported a $5.1 billion contingency fund. There's money for funding. We don't need beer and convenience stores. We don't need new license plates. We don't need all of these new highways and whatever else Ford decides that he wants to impulse purchase. We need funding for these kids.
CBC reached out yesterday to Ontario's Education Ministry about those concerns and has not heard back. But Minister Stephen Lecce has said in a statement that, quote, all parties will work together to ensure this tragedy does not occur again, with the minister adding that, quote, the loss of a child is an unspeakable tragedy. The OPP have ruled out foul play, and so the Office of the Chief Coroner is now leading the investigation into Ferris's death. In its own statement, the Hastings and Prince Edward District School Board confirmed there was an emergency here and that a student later died. It added that its heart goes out to Ferris's family. His mother told CBC that her son kept her soft-hearted, even when she was mad at the world. Guy Kenville, CBC News, Trenton, Ontario.
It's been almost 11 months since a brazen shooting killed Caroline Huebner-Macarat. The Toronto mom of 2 died after being hit by a stray bullet in Leslieville last summer. Today, her family and friends got together as a park is being renamed in her honor.
Everybody who uses this park now certainly knows who Carolyn was. They worked with her, they visited with her, they connected with her. She was someone that would walk in and light up the park, speak to people. So it's very comforting to have her park now. This will be a place where everybody can remember this wonderful woman from this community.
It holds special memories. It's where the 44-year-old would get together with friends and bring her daughters to play. A petition started by the community got more than 570 signatures in support of the name change, which passed through City Council last month. The shooting devastated the neighborhood and people right across the city. A group of 3 men had gotten into a fight near a safe injection site when shots were fired. 2 men have since been charged in connection with Huebner-Macarat's death. The race to elect the next mayor of Mississauga is now in the home stretch. This weekend, 22 advanced voting stations are now open. There are 20 candidates vying for the top job after Bonnie Crombie left the post to lead the Ontario Liberals. Advanced polls will be open once again tomorrow from 10 to 6. Election Day is June 10th. Some cheers there as the Progress flag was raised at Celebration Square today in Mississauga, marking the beginning of Pride Month. The event was organized in collaboration with the Rainbow Saga Alliance.
There's so many resources available today, so many people who will mentor. We do a lot of mentoring as Rainbow Saga. And
it's very, very inspiring because we have come quite far, but there's still so much more to do to combat hate within our community.
A number of events are planned right across the province to mark Pride Month. For more on what's happening in Peel region, you can visit rainbowsaga.ca. Community members are rallying around the Glad Day Bookshop in Toronto, believed to be the world's oldest queer bookstore. It has been struggling since the pandemic and recently put out a call to supporters for help. Brittany Billette takes us there.
Earlier this week, it looked as if this iconic and historic bookstore would be closing down. But after just a few days of raising money to save the store, Glad Day Bookshop announced that it collected $112,000.
The fact that 2,000 people support us within like 3-4 days is pretty incredible, and I think it shows the impact we've had over not just weeks or months but years.
On Monday, the shop posted this call out for donations on Instagram, explaining that the store has been going into debt and coming up short on rent since the end of the pandemic. Revenue never bounced back, and high inflation pushed customers and the business to its limits. Even though Glad Day Bookshop is a bookstore, we also have a nonprofit side called Glad Day Lit. Right, so we do nonprofit work. We function as a nonprofit, for a lot of what we do. Their landlord gave them until July to pay a lump sum of $100,000 in arrears or else face eviction. In the first 24 hours, the store raised over $58,000. Yeah, it does feel a bit like a Pride miracle. Everyone's sort of coming together at once. So while things are challenging and scary, I mean, it's also hopeful, and now we can really start having those complicated conversations about what happens next. The immediate crisis is averted, but the store says it has to raise a total of $300,000 to make sure it can stay in its current location and plan for its future. Local councillor Chris Moyes says one solution he's looking into is a community land trust for the whole village. That would give a nonprofit community corporation the power or money to acquire buildings in the area. An example of a land trust can be found in Kensington Market, where their trust owns multiple properties.
Glad Day is a good example in that if the land and the property is owned by the community, then we can be kicked out of it. So it's a prime example as to why I feel a land trust is so important.
I will say that I've heard about it for many years and there's been no action on it. So maybe this kind of crisis will spur the action that we've been looking for a while. Some customers say the city and the community should do all it can to protect Glad Day.
If you don't maintain the history, you lose the purpose of it, and then it becomes, the Pride Parade really is just a parade of show and color as opposed to what it truly is, which is standing up for the LGBTQ community and trying to create safe spaces.
I think it's a really important community space. There's a lot of activism that happens here, nightlife, it's a gathering place, and it's a place to get books about queer people and queer history, so I think it's awesome.
As the fundraising continues, Glad Day will be gearing up for Pride Month, excited to know that they'll be home in the village for at least a little while longer. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Toronto.
Sophia joining us now. Such a gorgeous Saturday to get out and enjoy the Jays game, Pride events. There's so much to do now as summer is heating up.
Yeah, really starting off a new month strong, Shannon, but today's the sales pitch, tomorrow's the delivery, depending on some of the big events you've got happening around the region. Glorious out there right now. Still nearly at the mid-20s. We were a couple degrees above seasonal today. Amazing patio weather this evening. Nearly 20 degrees and a glorious, warm, refreshing southeast wind, about 12 kilometers an hour, even the mid-teens into the overnight. But then we fall off the rails just a little bit for tomorrow. Some big events in the region as well. Canadian Open still on in the Hamilton area with some 20,000 people descending to see all the pros on the greens. Bike for Brain Health will have thousands as well up along the DVP. Now, these rainfall icons make it look like it will be a washout. It will not. The cloud cover will be with us all day. Yes, there is a system coming up from stateside. It will mostly be in southwestern Ontario and along the Georgian and the Huron shores, but yes, you will have some showers and light rain anywhere from Hamilton to the Toronto region for some of these big events late morning to early afternoon. It will clear. You want to have an umbrella with you. It is not a washout of a day, but yes, the clouds will be with you throughout the entirety of your Sunday. Come Monday, glorious weather, back perfectly timed for the work week, and coming up in the long range, I'll tell you about how humidity cranks up for midweek. Shannon.
Okay, see you soon.
See you then.
Turning next to that massive data breach, Live Nation now confirms the personal information of more than 500 million Ticketmaster customers around the world has been compromised. Philip Lee Shanik has more now on what we know so far.
My name is Taylor, and welcome to the Eras Tour.
The hits just keep coming for Ticketmaster, and not the musical kind. The biggest event ticket seller, which is owned by the biggest event promoter, has already made enemies with millions of angry Taylor Swift fans. Now potentially 500 million customers may have something to complain about: their personal information stolen. In a regulatory filing, it revealed that a criminal threat actor offered to sell Ticketmaster data on the dark web. The hacking group Shiny Hunters is claiming responsibility and is demanding $500,000 ransom. Cybersecurity experts say this group is very dangerous.
It's a very sophisticated group, and they've been responsible for some really large cyber attacks in the past,
including software giant Microsoft, U.S. telecom firm AT&T, and this week, data from Spain's largest bank, Santander, was stolen. Kotak says an investigation should look into if data was encrypted, access control logs, and third-party audits kept up to date.
These are all questions that are going to come to the forefront on whether Ticketmaster actually deployed the appropriate cybersecurity procedures to minimize the risk.
There are also questions about whether the company disclosed what happened in a timely way so customers could protect themselves.
The real harm to a company like Ticketmaster is from what American regulators could do in terms of fines, but probably also what class action lawyers can do to them.
Recently, angry Taylor Swift fans filed a lawsuit against Ticketmaster when hackers took down the site during a pre-sale event for her Eras Tour. And the U.S. Department of Justice is taking Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation, to court, calling it a monopoly with unfair control over the live music industry.
It's all over my TikTok. Yeah, it's all over TikTok right now.
It's all led to negative feelings for Ticketmaster going viral among a new generation of concert goers.
My mom uses it a lot. My mom uses it.
This hack, which was first detected by Australian authorities, is now being investigated by the FBI. Philip Lee Shanik, CBC News, Toronto.
People of all ages, identities, and stages of coming out. This demonstrates to them that we are a city that sees them, embraces them.
You're looking at the Progress flag being raised at Toronto City Hall in celebration of Pride Month. Similar ceremonies are taking place across the province. While there is plenty of celebration, the theme of Pride Toronto this year is all about the fight for existence and acceptance. Here's more of my conversation with the festival's executive director, Kojo Modeste.
We've been celebrating Pride now in Toronto for over 40 years, but there are still individuals that cannot be their authentic self. So this year, it's really about being ourselves, being your authentic self, being able to represent the community. So the theme be, and you get to add how you want to be seen, how you want to be represented in the community. It's unfortunate that we're having this conversation today where still people are not being able to be their authentic self, so hence the reason, the importance for this conversation.
It's incredible when you think that we've been celebrating Pride for 40 years now. You know, as you mentioned, it started as protest, as a protest movement, and I think even this year some people are feeling that it feels more like a protest this year than ever before. Does that resonate with you?
100%, and I think it is the celebration is going to be there, but it's to this year, 2024, more than 2023, 2022. The protest aspect is going to be very present when we look at some of the legislative changes that we're seeing. And oftentimes those conversations we're having is outside of Canada. But we're seeing these changes happening here in our backyard. And this is concerning. When we look at what is happening in Alberta, the effects is going to be felt across this nation. So it's really important that all of our allies, that all of Toronto, that all of Canada find themselves at a Pride Parade this year to show their support for the 2S LGBTQ community, because it is needed now more than ever.
I did want to ask you that, for folks who aren't part of the queer community but who are allies, how can they best show up? How can they support? How can they use their voice to help the community?
And this is so important. One of the things, the strongest thing that an ally can do is to be present, to show up at our events, show your support. But one of the things that is also very important is getting out there and voting. We have seen what, at the stroke of a pen, women's rights were taken away in the US. If we continue to sit back and just relax, those rights, same-sex marriage, and all of those other rights that we here as queer individuals enjoy, those rights can be taken away at the stroke of a pen. So really important that the allies show up, make their voice known in support of the 2S LGBTQ plus community.
Talk that this is really a marathon for you and your team, kind of a sprint now to the finish. There are events happening all month long. It's probably hard to pick one, but what are some of the highlights you're looking forward to?
For me, one of the things that I look for attending Pride year after year, and even prior to being executive director, is the Trans Rally. Because the Trans Rally for me, it's always a reminder that I have siblings, that have black and brown bodies that are not able to be their authentic selves. But I'm also this year really looking forward to the drag ball, because the drag ball is going to bring drag queens from across the world onto Toronto stage to really send a message of unity, to send a message that we are together as a queer community and we support each other. So really looking forward to the Trans Rally and definitely the drag ball.
There is something for everyone, every kind of person to show up and enjoy. I know you're such a busy person. Thank you for taking the time to take us through all of it.
No, thank you. And again, Pride, the festival weekend, whether it's family pride, sober pride, youth pride, just name it and we have it. Most of our stages are going to have ASL. We have attendant care. So again, making sure that everybody that comes to Pride is welcome, and it's a space for everyone. As you said, it's a priority for Pride Toronto, and looking forward to seeing all of Toronto, all of Ontario, all of Canada and the world. There is room for all of us on the streets of Toronto this Pride weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
National Indigenous History Month is kicking off one of the big events, the Indigenous Fashion Arts Festival. Models hitting the runway at the Eaton Centre Mall, paying tribute to Indigenous traditions and knowledge and weaving in modern design and elements. The festival also allows designers to showcase their creations to big crowds, which can be tough in a competitive industry. Talk about a beautiful day at the beach. City of Toronto lifeguards are back on the job for the season. Woodbine Beach is one of 10 Toronto beaches that now has daily supervision until September. Swimming is only recommended when lifeguards are on duty and within the designated swimming areas. Sophia is back talking about humidity. I might be in the minority, but I like it hot and soupy. Like
Same, I'm
crank
like
the
a
heat.
lizard.
Yes,
give me,
I want
give
it
me the
all.
sun. Not so
Totally.
much the rain if you're headed out to the golf greens to see the Canadian Open. Let's talk about this for a minute, because this icon might seem a little overdone. Yes, there will be cloud cover with you all day, not only for the Canadian Open, but for the Bike for Brain Health as well. Yes, there will be cloud cover. Yes, there will be rain. Yes, it will come sort of late morning to early afternoon, but it won't be a washout of a day. Not everybody is going to see power showers or heavier rain. Most of it's quite light, except for in southwestern Ontario, where you could even see a rumble of thunder. This will clear by the afternoon, and you're just left with the clouds. Okay, Sunday afternoon temperatures are a little bit below seasonal by a few degrees. Sunday evening, that system has moved stateside, and then Monday is glorious Murphy's Law, a beautiful start to the work week. And then Tuesday, we have high pressure in parts of Quebec and northeastern Ontario, and we have moisture coming in from the storms stateside. It is going to make for humidity Tuesday and Wednesday, and an on and off chance for showers. It's going to be warm for us heat lovers, Shannon, but it won't be a free ride. You will have on and off showers along with the humidex that further inland and towards the north and east could be approaching the mid-30s. Thursday, a cold front comes through, slices that humidity down and brings us back down to seasonal or below, but watch some of the humidity uptick for places like Ottawa and even up to places like Barrie and Windsor. Next weekend, Shannon, we have the Ride to Conquer Cancer, so we will watch for the chance of rain as we head towards that. 'Tis the season of busy weekends, and 'tis the season of rain, always seemingly on weekends.
Right. It seems to test us, but you got to soak up the sunshine when you can.
I got to come up with some data for this rain on weekends.
Okay, yeah, I want to see that. We'll watch for your presentation.
Thanks, Shannon.
No pressure. Okay, before we go, if your plans tomorrow take you along the Gardiner or DVP, you need to find another route. Starting at midnight tonight, the eastbound lanes of the Gardiner and northbound DVP will shut down. Then at 1 a.m., southbound DVP and westbound lanes of the Gardiner will also close. It's all to make way for the Bike for Brain Health, with some 10,000 cyclists expected to take part. Roads will reopen at 4 p.m. Good luck to everyone taking part. That's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow night at